Mr. Poilievre, welcome to CP24 Breakfast this morning.
Good to be with you.
So let's talk about, the last couple of days in Ottawa, the confidence motion you're trying to get passed over the carbon tax. We know you want to spike the tax, spike the hike and axe the tax. We know that's your plan here, and that didn't quite work in Ottawa in the last couple of days. But what would a conservative environmental plan look like? We know what you don't want in terms of the carbon tax, but what do you want to see to deal with climate change?
Well, we do want to axe the tax because it's not working. It's after 8 years of Trudeau. Everything costs more. Work doesn't pay. Housing costs have doubled. And now he wants to hammer us with an April Fool's Day, joke's on you, carbon tax hike of 23% as part of a plan to quadruple the tax, which is going to drive, it's going to kill jobs. It's going to force seniors to choose between eating and heating. And so we moved to a non-confidence motion to force a carbon tax election so Canadians can decide. We think that lowering the cost of alternatives is better than raising the cost of traditional energy we still need. We did green light green projects like nuclear power, hydroelectricity, tidal wave power, carbon capture and storage, so that Canadians have an abundant supply of affordable, emissions-free electricity and power. So again, here's the choice. Do you want to raise the cost of traditional energy we still need, like gas and home heating, or do we want to lower the cost of low-emitting alternatives? And I believe in the latter. That's common sense.
I can certainly see politically what you're trying to do, and it seems like polls are on your side in terms of the unpopularity of the carbon tax, or carbon rebate as it's been rebranded recently. And also there are 7 premiers from across the political spectrum in this country who are lined up against the Liberals' kind of like flagship proposal or policy as it is. I want to know, though, if you were the Prime Minister and you had 7 premiers across this country lining up against something you were pushing, what would you do? Would you listen? Would you reverse? Like, do you blame Justin Trudeau for sticking to it, as it were?
I do blame him for sticking to it because it's a terrible policy. It's driving up the cost of food, for example. When you tax the farmer who produces the food and the trucker who ships the food, the grocer who sells the food, you tax all who buy the food. And that's why 2 million people are lined up at food banks across the country. 32% of food banks or charities are turning away Canadians because they don't have the resources to feed them. Now we have a dumpster diving network. That's 8,000 Canadians who've joined a Facebook group learning how to jump into a garbage can to get a meal out. Yeah. These are things, police had to be called in because there was a near riot at a food bank in Montreal last week because food ran out, people were hungry. This would have been unimaginable before Justin Trudeau. But after 8 years of doubling housing costs, of driving up food prices, he's given Canadians a misery. He's not worth the cost. He's not worth the crime. He's not worth the corruption. We need a common sense conservative government.
And if you were in government, would you listen if 7 premiers were opposed to your
If 7 premiers, well, 7 premiers aren't going to have to tell me to axe the tax. I will axe the tax with or without 7 premiers. My common sense plan is to axe the tax, build the homes, fix the budget, stop the crime. And the next election will be about the carbon tax. It will be a gigantic referendum on whether you want a 61 cent a litre carbon tax or you want to axe the tax to bring home lower prices.